What's up, guys, and welcome to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Tomasello here with Chris Gold. It is the middle of May. We are getting very close to E3. We're getting excited. We just had a meeting 2 nights ago to prepare for all the E3 festivities. Chris, are you sweating in your pants?
I am sweating with anticipation, and I am sweating in just a heat stroke because it is very, very hot outside right now. It is.
Yeah, it is not pleasing weather today at all whatsoever.
No, this is not even like. Okay, there are times where it's hot for an oaf, where it's like, oh, it's 60 degrees outside, and most people are like, oh wow, I can wear a nice jacket, and you're like, oh god, I'm roasting alive, which I
This is accurate.
But days like today, where it's literally in like the mid to upper 80s, yeah, that's hot for everybody. That it is not comfortable out. So
Yeah, it is not pleasant out.
yeah, so it's the type of day where you like to stay inside with the AC cranked up, relaxing, and you like to chill and relax with a nice, calming video game. Specifically, Justin, the video game that we're excited about, that we're hoping to hear more about on E3, is the type of game that's perfect for a day like this, where you can kind of stay in, relax, and do nothing, and that's Animal Crossing.
Yeah, absolutely. We're thinking, with Nintendo's E3 press conference, we're really hoping to see some more information about Animal Crossing. I wouldn't be surprised if they made that the big game this year, the game that's going to be out holiday season that they're really pushing, like they did with Smash Brothers last year and Mario the year before. And if that's the case, hopefully we'll have a nice, pretty decent segment in E3. You never know, but we'll see. But the idea came across my head because loyal listeners of the pod will remember way back when we were talking about Animal Crossing, and I brought up the idea that Animal Crossing is kind of, I'm losing my luster for it. It's just kind of starting to feel a little samey to me. I can just start to maybe feel like I'm done playing them and not want to get the new one. So, I want to see in E3 when they talk about Animal Crossing, if they talk about Animal Crossing, that they show some really attractive new features that change the game up. So I got this idea with Chris in our meeting that just for funsies, we're going to list 10 current features of Animal Crossing games. And we are going to take 3 of them away so they won't be in the new game. But we'll replace them with 3 new features that we hope will make the game different and more exciting.
Right, and I imagine that you, Justin, you're probably going to take the lead on a lot of features that you're going to want to see in the new Animal Crossing, because you're the one who is like, the franchise feels a little stale, a little samey, so we want to hear what it is that you would like to see in a new Animal Crossing, something that would help bring you back into the fold a little bit. And yeah, it's good too, because whatever we hear from Nintendo at E3, I'd be stunned if we didn't hear anything about Animal Crossing. I agree with you. They're probably going to make that game a big feature of their presentation this year. I think it's going to be really good, really informative, and it's going to do enough to, I think, help at least sway you to come back into the fold a little bit. Because remember, you also had said once upon a time that you thought that you were done with Smash Brothers, and now
I was hoping you didn't remember that, but you did.
No, trust me, I've got my short-term memory isn't great, but my long-term memory solid, and I remember. You saying, yeah, Smash Brothers, I don't think it's really for me anymore. And now Ultimate came out, and it's one of our favorite games of this generation. So who knows what we're going to see from Animal Crossing this year. But like Justin said, this is more of a fun exercise. This isn't something where we're like, if this isn't in the new game, then Animal Crossing is done. But it's just more of a fun thing just to kind of go back and forth on.
Yeah, and they totally could leave everything the way it is now and just add more features. In fact, that's probably what will happen. But I wanted to make this a little bit more fun and turn this kind of into a game. And, Chris and I had, just before we recorded, went through this list of 10 and had to come to the tough decision of removing 3 from that list, which we'll get to later.
It turned out to be a little bit more controversial of a discussion than either of us thought it was going to be. But again, we'll get to that a little later.
Yeah, so that is all coming up on the second half of the show. But before we get to that, Chris, what are you playing? What are you playing?
Justin, I'm glad you asked, because I have been playing video games. Specifically, the video games that I have been playing. The first is, of course, Wandersong. I've kind of been on and off with it because I've been a little bit busy since the last time that we had recorded the podcast, so I haven't had as much time to play games as I would have liked. So I probably, if I had just sat down and blazed through Wandersong at this point, I probably would have gotten it. I probably would have beaten it by this point, but I'm just not there yet. If I had to guess, I think I'm about halfway through the game. But again, I have no idea when the actual end game will be. But I'm still having a blast with the game. I still love the humor that the game presents. It's just so well written and so clever. I love it. I love it to death.
Yeah, it's so fun, and it's so up your alley. I'm just really glad that you're playing it.
Yeah, it's just a solid game. The other game that I picked up, this is one that was announced last E3, I believe, and right now it's actually out on early access. I just picked it up the other day, and I was playing through it, and so far I've been having a pretty good time with it. This is actually a mobile game, Justin, and this is The Elder Scrolls Blades.
Oh, I forgot that came out.
Yeah, it's currently in early access, so it's not the actual full release build of the game yet. But it's currently out on Android and on Google Play, and I imagine it's also out on iOS. And it's just a pretty solid Elder Scrolls experience. If you imagine Elder Scrolls Mobile, this is exactly what it would be. So you start out with your character, and you kind of go through a little bit of a tutorial per se, where they describe, there was a Dragonborn Empire, and they had an elite group of fighters called the Blades who fought for them, and then they got in a war with the elves who massacred them and outlawed the Blades. So the Blades are kind of scattered throughout the Empire now, doing their own thing. And your character makes their way to their town, and it's once you get there, you see everything is on fire, and someone, the mayor, I guess, is oh, it's you finally come back after so long. And then you go into a character creation little module, and it's not nearly as in-depth as if you were playing a console release of the Elder Scrolls. You don't have nearly as much customization options for creating your character, but you can make still a lot of different types of characters. You can make humans, dark elves, Khajiit, little lizard guys whose names escape me at the moment.
Oh god, something with an A.
It starts with an A. Yeah.
Our listeners are screaming right now.
Yeah, they're swerving off the roads. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but point is, I was not one of the little lizard dudes.
Argonian.
There you go.
I got it.
There you go. That's the word. So I was not that. I was a dark elf. I'm actually a female dark elf.
Ooh.
Yes.
A lady.
I am a lady, and I made myself look really cool. I've got the pale purple skin. I've got I think I have fangs coming out. I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, I'm rocking it. I'm looking pretty sick.
So how does movement work in this game?
So the movement is the only thing that's, I guess, a little clunky. Is It's all from a first-person perspective, classic Elder Scrolls, and the dungeons and everything. The enemies, they still look good. Not nearly as good as a console release. It looks fine for mobile, and to move around in the dungeons, you have to point. You have to like click different areas on the dungeon or on the world map, and your character will automatically walk to wherever it is on the ground that you poked. And during the whole time, you can like swirl your finger around the screen, and you can look all around, left, right, up, down, anywhere. So as you press the screen to move forward, as you're moving forward, you can kind of look to the right a little bit and see further down a pathway that you can go, and then you can tap down there, and then your character will move towards that path. And they'll always move at like a straight line, so if there's any obstacles or pillars in the way, you kind of have to zigzag around them a little bit. Your character won't just automatically move past them.
Okay, great. And how about attacking?
So for attacking, I've been attacked by a few things so far, just bandits and goblins, because again, I'm just very early in the game. And what you have to do is the enemy will pop up on the screen, and the whole thing shifts very subtly to a combat screen. So it's not a thing of where like, oh, like you just walk up and you swing your sword and they just happen to be there. Like, it just becomes a straight up combat. So you can't like move to the side, they can't escape. And to swing your sword, you hold your finger on the screen and a little icon shows up and a gauge fills up. There's like an outer circle, and there's it looks like an icon of your weapon in the middle, and a smaller ring erupts from it as you're holding your finger down. Once that inner ring matches the outer ring, you take your finger off, and then your character will swing their weapon, and they can do max damage that way.
Oh, okay. So you like build up the pressure or whatever.
Right, yeah, you hold your finger on the screen, you build up the pressure, and then you just let it go, and your character will then swing and hit the enemy. There's also a shield button on the screen, so if you see the other guy like winding up like about to hit you, you just press the shield and you hold it, and you bring up your shield, and that's how you can defend yourself. I just unlocked the ability to do magic, which that's also like that's a button that you press, but it has kind of a recharge to it, so you can't just spam like firing fireballs at your enemy. You have to wait for it to build back up again, and then you can attack them.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so the combat, I mean, again, this is all a mobile game, so there's a bit of a limited economy here to work with, but it does a pretty good job. Like, it's it doesn't feel too unfair. It doesn't feel too cheap or easy. Like, the combat feels very well balanced in terms of execution. Once you kill something, and you see, like, in the environment, there's glowing pots or different items that are just glowing in general, and you can tap on those. And depending on what they are, like, you can tap on lumber, you can tap on food, which will automatically heal your hit points. You can find gold. All of these things, you can just, with a tap of your finger, you collect them, and then you're off and running. Now, the first mission that I completed, the first quest, was a bunch of goblins had kidnapped some of the townsfolk and took them into their dungeon. So I went into the dungeon, rescued them, and brought them back. And while I was down there, I found a lot of materials, building materials. So when I got back to the town after finishing the quest, they were like, oh, you saved the townsfolk, and you just so happened to find enough material to help rebuild our town hall. So I did that, and I imagine that that's probably the crux of the game. Is you find different treasure chests, go on different quests, and you get a lot of money, you build up building material, and then you come back to your hub world, this town that was on fire, and you slowly rebuild it. So that's probably the gist of the game there. And then once you get strong enough, you can take on, I think it's the Bloodfall Queen. The Bloodfall Queen is the one whose men went in there and ransacked the town and destroyed it. So the Bloodfall Queen is initially the main enemy of the entire game. So I'll have to take her out somehow. But yeah, for a mobile game, I mean, I've talked before how I'm not really that big into mobile games or the mobile experience, but this game's actually not that bad so far. It's actually a pretty good time so far.
All right, awesome. I remember them saying at E3 last year that that's coming pretty much to everything. Like, I think it's going to be out on Switch and other consoles and Steam and stuff. Maybe later than the release of the mobile games. But yeah, it does sound really cool. I have been wanting to check it out. Is it a free download?
It's a free download, yeah. I think it's just a typical like free to play experience where the initial game you can download, but then there are different chests that you can find and unlock, but there's kind of a cooldown in between when you can unlock them. But for a fee, you can buy gems, which can let you open up these chests sooner. So the game has its ways of making money.
Yeah. All right. Well, I want to look at that too. I'm glad you got a chance to play it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Solid so far. And unfortunately, that's really it for me. So, Justin, toss it right back to you. What are you playing?
Yeah, not too much for me either. Outside of just regular Smash Bros. I'm continuing SteamWorld Quest. I'm trying to do this thing where, what normal people do when they play a game is just like get a game, play it, and then beat it without jumping around.
Fascinating. Tell me more about this this unique way of playing games.
Yeah. So I'm really trying to sit down, focus, complete this game, and then move on to something else. I think part of my problem is I keep bouncing around, and then I keep forgetting about stuff, and then all this stuff just goes unbeaten. So I'm really enjoying SteamWorld Quest. I talked about it at length at the last episode. I still stand by everything I said. It's a really solid turn-based RPG with really cool moves and a good cast of characters. It's still a lot of fun. I'm I think around chapter 14, and I think there's only about 19 or 20 in the game, so I'm not too far from completing it.
Oh, yeah, you're almost at the end.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging because the way the system works is you have spells that can heal your party, but those only work during battle. So if you want to heal outside of battle, you can't just go into your menu and use the spell. It doesn't work like that. So you have to heal using healing potions. And money is actually kind of hard to come by in this game, and everything seems to be really expensive. So I'm burning through potions really quickly. And the only other way to heal on the world map is if you reach these statues of Gilgamesh. He's the hero of the game.
Right.
Yeah, and it kind of works like in Dark Souls, where resting at a campfire, so you can heal yourself, but everything you've killed, all the enemies you fought already, will come back to life if you choose to do that. So if I go deep in the dungeon and I'm exploring for treasure and stuff, and I want to get out of there, do I heal myself and fight my way back out, or do I try and get out with very low health, knowing that I killed most of the people and I should be able to have a pretty clear path to exit? And it's getting tricky now because you can just go into a room and your character automatically runs into an enemy or a boss fight, and you didn't even have a chance to try and heal or anything. And you gotta fight. I ran into this one. This had to be a joke. The enemy was called the Duck Truck. It was
the Duck Truck.
Yeah, it was a robot duck on two wheels that had like little like robotic teardrops coming up and down out of his eyes, and it had all these weird moves like waddle, where it would just move back and forth and nothing would happen. And I was like, all right, this is like a joke fight or something. And then he had like another move called like charge, where like he would like, I don't know, he would quack and he would like rear back to run at you, but he would fall over. And I was like, all right, this is totally a joke. But then I realized I think those joke moves were like building up like pressure for him to get ready to unleash the next move that he unleashed, which is like this stabbing move that did 1,000 damage and put despair on one of my heroes. And when you're despaired, you can't be healed. It's like a curse you have that like even if someone was to heal you, it wouldn't work.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, wow, this is not just a joke fight. Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
damn. Okay.
Yeah. So I had to handle that. Got through it, but it was definitely dicey. One of the coolest parts about the game is just the combinations you can make through different cards. Like right now, I'm rolling with my mage. I have her play a card called Focus that ups her magic power, and I have her equipped with an item that ups her fire magic. So I fitted her deck to have multiple fire magic attacks ready to play. So
Makes
she already
sense.
starts a battle with a plus in her magic, her fire magic attack. I play the focus card, which bumps up her overall magic, and then I can play some of my fire attacks, and they do like a ton of damage. So I'm definitely riding on her coattails for a while. Of course, then you get in trouble sometimes where you're fighting enemies that are fire resistant. It's like, okay, well, I better have a backup plan to get around that.
Yeah.
So,
it's all part. It's all part of the strategy.
yeah, and I think I mentioned last episode too that some of the cards give you bonuses if they are played at a certain time. Like for example, if you played, if you had Galeo attack, and then you play this certain card right after that, you get a team bonus that does more damage or more healing to your team. So it just adds more to that attack that's being played. There's haste cards that will let you draw 4 cards instead of 3. Like, it's really creative how you can set up these different hands for each player and how you want them to play, basically. So, it's not like any character has a specific role. You could have the fighter character cast a lot of magic. You could have the mage cast a lot of regular attacks. You can do a lot of cool stuff like that. So, it's almost like a bonus if you wanted to replay it. You could like kind of re-roll your characters almost and play them different ways with different moves as you go along through the game.
All right, nice.
So, still rolling through that. It's really fun. The only other thing I played this week is my indie arcade, which I assume we are about to get into.
We are about to get into. So, Justin, that's probably as great a segue as we're going to get. So, why don't you tell us all about the Indie Arcade?
Indie Arcade.
Before you do, if anyone out there remembers, last week I gave Justin a gift. Truly a blessing, because I am such a good, kind-hearted person deep down inside.
Here we go.
I gave him the game Ape Out to play and enjoy. So, Justin, tell us all about it.
So, Ape Out by Devolver Digital is a lot like the game Hotline Miami, if you've ever played that or anything like that.
I don't think I have now.
So, it is basically a top-down... Hotline Miami is a shooter, and Ape Out's not really a shooter because you're just using your massive apeness to destroy everybody. But you're going through like a building in this top-down view, avoiding or killing enemies and trying to get to the goal, which starts the next level. And that's pretty much like the gist of the game. What makes this game stand out is this game has such a cool style to it. It's like so edgy and awesome and in your face. The music is nothing but drums, just jazz drums. Like there's no guitar, no bass, nothing, just drums. And it works as the background music and also as sound effects basically sometimes. So like when you kill an enemy and they smash against the wall, you just hear like a cymbal crash, like as they die, basically. So like, every time someone dies, you just hear like a big, explosion of cymbals or something, along with like very rhythmic like drum beats as you're like running through these levels, and it really like kind of pumps up like how hectic it is. And you always relate like I guess monkeys with bongos, kind of.
Right.
You think back to like
Donkey Kong, Jungle Beat.
Yeah, Jungle Beat, or the one where you actually play the bongos. Donkey Konga.
There you go, yeah.
Yeah. But, it's like a real, like animalistic sound of just, this really crazy, hectic mayhem that's going on. The story, I think, basically is that you are a test subject gorilla, and you basically break out, and you're just trying to, like, get out, and you are enraged, and you are destroying everybody in your path.
Nice.
It's super addicting. The game starts out like you're in a cage and there's just a guy right in front of you, and you just smash the glass and like kill the guy in front of you, and it just says Ape Out on the screen real big, like as soon as you break out. The style's really cool because like in the first level, as you're moving through the game, the tutorial is basically like what you do, your button presses and stuff are on the ground. So you have like, you see on the ground like ZL is catch and ZR is run or throw. You also have the beginning credits of the team that worked on the game, just like kind of laying on the ground in front of you. And you could like, I was having a problem early in my first run that I killed a guy and like blood splattered over the controls, like the instructions of the controls, so I didn't know what I was supposed to do, no. And I wound up dying. But then when I restarted the level, I got to see it.
Okay, that works.
But yeah, so basically, you're just trying to get out of a level and get into the next one, and the whole thing runs completely fluidly. Like if you never died, like it would just keep going basically, because when you end one level, you like enter a hallway and it immediately starts the next level, and like the name of the level will pop up on the screen, and it's almost like a puzzle game too, because each level introduces some sort of new hazard or something that has you have to try and figure out how it works and get around it. Like for example, one level is called False Alarm, and you set off an alarm in that level, so you have to basically get through the level with even more people coming after you, kind of thing. And what you can do as the gorilla is you can basically do two attacks. You can grab somebody and like push them as hard as you can against the wall, so they go flying across the room, smash into the wall, and just explode.
Oh God.
Yeah. Or you can grab somebody and like hold them and spin them around and basically use them as a human shield. So if they start shooting at you, it shoots the guy you're holding instead of you. It basically takes a hit for you.
Nice.
But when you grab somebody and spin them around, they, I guess, get scared and they fire a shot. So if you're quick enough, you can grab somebody, spin them around, aim them towards somebody else, and that guy that you're holding will be scared and fire, and he will shoot and kill one of the other guys. And then you can just throw the guy into another guy and like get moving again. So
nice.
It's
awesome.
It's like really addictive, like these little combos you can do. I guess there's two ways to play. I mean, you could kind of go through and try and kill everybody, or you can just try and run towards the exit and just kill when you have to and try and survive. And I found out personally I was making it farther when I was doing the second option of just trying to blast through, get to the end of the stage and start the next one.
Right.
You can take about 3 hits and then you die. And when you die, it's actually really cool. The camera zooms all the way out and the words dead are written on the screen. But in between the letters is a map of the level. And it shows you basically by like a little white line your movement and how far you got in the level.
Oh.
And it shows you where the end of the level is.
Oh.
So there was a few times where I died and then like the map zoomed out and it basically showed me I was pretty much right at the end of the level when I died. It was like
man.
Really frustrating.
Oh, that's the worst. But hey, at least I was doing something right, so you can just kind of keep going. I wonder, did you ever like have a point where you were stuck and you didn't know what to do, so you just intentionally died to bring up that map?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's cool because it shows you routes that you went and like routes that you didn't go, basically by that white line. So, if I kept going towards the bottom of the map and dying a lot, I was like, all right, well, next time I'm going to go up instead of down, and maybe that helps me get through it better. Maybe there's less enemies up there, or maybe it's worse. But it's a very fast-paced game. I think it actually works better when you are basically frantically running. I think they were trying to capture that idea of like, hey, you're this gorilla who just like burst out. You're just trying to get out, and you're just so enraged, and you're going to kill anything that's in your way.
Right.
And you're busting through windows. You're like breaking down doors. You're just trying to get through the end and start the next level. There's some cool mechanics where, like, for example, I'm still early on. I'm only about 6 or 7 levels in, but you can grab a door that's like locked, and you slowly rip it off its hinges, and then you're carrying the door, and it's a giant metal door, and you can like throw it and like hit like 6 guys in a row with it if you line it up right. So yeah, it's really cool. There's more enemies, of course, as you go, tougher enemies. The first couple levels was just guys with like one-shot rifles. Then they threw in a couple guys with spread shotguns that kind of would shoot out like sideways with more bullets. And then they introduced some guys with bombs strapped to their backs that can like throw grenades at you. But the problem with them is if I grabbed one of them and threw him against the wall, and if I was right next to him, he would explode, and the explosion would hurt me. So I can still kill them by throwing them against the wall, but I need to throw them farther away so I don't get caught in the explosion, after they die. But it also works as a benefit too, because you can throw that guy into a pile of other guys, and he'll explode, and he'll take out all those guys at once. It's pretty fast paced, but it gives you a little bit of a breathing room when an enemy first sees you. He'll spin around, and he'll like take like a second or two to like aim his gun. So it gives you a little bit of time to either duck behind a wall, or like grab somebody, or grab him, or it gives you like a little bit of time to make a move before they start firing at you. But you got to be careful. You got to have a little bit of strategy, because if you get surrounded, and if you go for one guy, then there's 2 other guys who are just going to shoot you. And you only have 3 hits until you're dead. So it's definitely frantic. It's a lot of fun. I can see how addictive it can be. I wish there was a little bit more you could do as the gorilla. Like, I wish he had some sort of dodge roll or something to, like, maybe help, get out of the way a little bit faster. Maybe some more moves he could learn. And maybe he does unlock that later, because, like I said, I'm still pretty early on. But for right now, his moveset seems a little bit too basic. But, it's not a big deal. The game's still super fun.
Right.
And, it doesn't hinder it in any way.
Plus, you also have to remember, you're a gorilla. A gorilla can only do so much, and only has so much understanding of the world surrounding them. So, you gotta make do with what you can. Gorillas were not designed to dodge and roll and do all sorts of fancy moves.
Yeah, no, that's true. I'm not looking for him to like grab a bazooka off the wall and start firing.
Although
that would
be badass. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Oh man, I want to draw that. You should draw that. You should draw that.
Yeah, it would be definitely awesome. I think the game shines in this presentation. I think at the end of the year, we're going to see a lot of people talking about just how cool it looks, how unique it is.
Yeah.
It's definitely addicting. I don't know how many levels there are or how long it goes, but it's fun. I'm having a blast playing it. And if it sounds cool to you, I should definitely check it out. It's only $15 on the eShop right now. I think it's available on pretty much everything. And, Devolver's been putting out a lot of really good stuff lately. So, it's definitely a winner in my book.
All right, awesome. Yeah, that's like I had said before when I had assigned the game to you, that was the game that was on my radar for a while, and it looks like it was a lot of fun. It had been getting rave reviews from a lot of people across the board, and add another rave review to the list. I'm glad you really enjoyed it as much as you did.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's real pick up and play. Another weird thing is that the loading times were kind of brutal in this game.
Really?
I first loaded it up, and it just said now loading for like 2 minutes straight, which doesn't sound very short, but if you're just sitting there holding the Switch in your hand, just staring at a screen that says now loading, it was kind of taking a little bit too long in my opinion. And then when you die, you can zoom out, and like I said, it shows you the whole map. But if you were to press A through that, like if let's say you kept dying and you were just trying to get back into it, it would just go back to a loading screen, and you still have to wait like 20 seconds before the level starts again.
Right.
So that's strange. I don't know if that's only like a Switch problem, or if it's a problem on all the systems. But that was a little strange to me, considering the game doesn't look that demanding graphically.
Right. No, that's that is certainly strange. Definitely don't know like why they would have loading times that long, especially in this day and age, the year of our Lord 2019. But it's it is what it is. It's if those are the only major issues with the game, then the game still sounds like a solid experience to me.
Oh, definitely. It's fun.
All right. Well, Justin, now the time has come for you to give me an indie arcade game.
Yes, it is. Lately, we've been playing some fun games with you, picking from a list. We're going to forego that for this week because I did enjoy Ape Out so much.
Oh, thank you.
And, I was browsing the eShop on the Switch, and a game that I was kind of interested in, it was kind of shown off a couple directs ago, is now on sale, and I think it would be a really fun experience for you to play.
All right. Well, what is it?
This game is more of a physics construction puzzler type of game.
Oh, interesting.
Yes. And it's on the Switch. And it is $14.99, and it is called When Ski Lifts Go Wrong.
When ski lifts go wrong. Oh boy.
Test your engineering and sports skills in this deliriously fun skiing-themed physics construction puzzler. It's time to get carried away with this deliriously fun, bloody, physics-based construction puzzler packed full of creative challenges, sports, and bloody disasters. In When Ski Lifts Go Wrong, you start in the rolling foothills and journey up to the jagged and exposed peaks. Puzzle over carefully designed scenarios to help every passenger reach their destination.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so I don't know if you've ever played the game World of Goo.
I have, yes.
But, okay. Yeah, it's kind of like that idea. Maybe that mixed with a little bit of Roller Coaster Tycoon even. You're building these cool ski lifts and skate parks for people. And then, using physics, trying to build these really awesome ramps. And, once they're finished, you get to play and watch people ski on them. And basically see if they can safely make the jumps or not. And it looks pretty fun.
Oh boy. Yeah, I'm actually watching a trailer for it right now. It's on Steam too. And it looks very similar to what is it? I think it was like Bridge Builder. Yeah, where you have to build build like these giant jumps and slopes and like bridges that you have to go across, and there's a lot of triangles involved. You have to make it really sturdy. A lot of people are dying in terrible, terrible ways in this trailer.
Yeah, well, that's your job to
Oh,
make sure
God.
that does or does
Oh
not happen.
God. Okay, so someone was riding a ski lift up, and as they passed by the tower, the entire ski lift tower just collapsed, and then the person riding the gondola, like the thing just like fell down, and the person fell out. I'm like, oh God, that sounds like a nightmare for me. That sounds like one of the worst things that I could imagine happening.
I can see the mayhem being quite fun in this.
Oh God, yeah. It looks like everything is very ragdoll physics based. So yeah, it looks very. It looks silly. It looks like it could be a lot of fun. So yeah, I'm definitely willing to give this one a shot.
All right. Well, can't wait to see what kind of contraptions you can create.
I hope to minimize the damage and deaths as much as possible.
Why would they give you, full architecture rights to this sort of thing?
Well, because I am the man most qualified for the job, Justin.
I played a game similar to this one time.
You're hired. You're not going to ask how well he did in that game? Nah, I'm sure he did fine.
Yeah. Well, this game's known for having a really good share feature. So I hope when you're playing, you take some good videos and upload them to Twitter because I want to see some of your horrible accidents.
All right. Yeah, we'll do what I can. I will share my wonderful creations and try to hide my many crimes.
All right. With that being said, I think it's time we take a break.
I think so too. I need to construct a good alibi.
Welcome back to Press A Repeatedly. Justin Tomasello here with Chris Gold. And Animal Crossing lovers, you're about to wince because we are going to take away 3 features from the known Animal Crossing games in favor of some new ideas.
Right. So the whole idea here is before we recorded, Justin put together a list of 10 features that are currently in the Animal Crossing games. We then discussed and agreed upon, begrudgingly, 3 features that we are 3 of those features that we are going to remove, and then we're going to talk about what 3 features we are going to replace with those. So, Justin, let's say we before we get into the list, why again are you not as happy with the Animal Crossing games as you were before?
I just think with each entry they added very small changes and nothing big enough to shake up the formula to keep me more interested in the series. Now, I know what they say: if it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, I'm also not really loving the idea of kind of this 90% of the same game over and over again on multiple consoles. This especially when I have to pay $60 for it. So I'm really hoping that this new entry, I almost said entree. I guess I'm getting hungry.
It is starting to get that time.
The new entry of this franchise has enough to offer for me to warrant, dishing out a full 60 smackers again.
That's fair and understandable, but I don't know. I feel like each of the games has kind of had a unique spin on the formula, and they've done new and unique things with it. I'm really interested to see what happens with the new game because I thought New Leaf was just flawless. Like I really did not have any complaints about the game really at all. Like that was a ton of fun. I was addicted to that game. Like it was the perfect formula where you hop in every single day and you do something new and different, and it just kept me going for a while. It was a solid experience.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think New Leaf was a great Animal Crossing game. I played a lot of it, mainly because I could play it on the go. I was playing it on commutes to work. I was popping in and playing it for 10 minutes before I switched to a different game to play. And of course the Switch has the potential to have that again. But I know with what's the mobile game called?
Pocket Camp.
Pocket Camp. Yeah, that came out, and that didn't receive a lot of love. Some people like it, but it's basically like a watered down Animal Crossing. So I think that fans are really chomping at the bit for that full-fledged Animal Crossing that they're looking for, and they want to see some cool new features too. So that's hopefully what we're going to suggest here today.
Okay, so speaking of those features, Justin, what say we get right into it and look at those features that we're going to list all the features first off, and then Justin and I will get into which of those features we are removing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. The 10 features that I came up with for us to debate on: fishing, bug catching, fossil finding / fossil submission, art collecting, Happy Home Academy / house rating / feng shui, that whole thing, clothes designing, travel to town for the shops, travel to the island, multiplayer, aka the town visiting aspect of the game, and the sending and receiving of snail mail to players and animals.
All right, so those are the 10 main features. And if any of you at home are listening to, keeping track of that list and thinking, how could you possibly find 3 features there to remove? You're not alone. That was very difficult for Justin and I to come to an agreement on for any 3 of those features to remove from the game. And I feel like, too, that it's not even necessarily we're removing these features because they're bad. We're removing these features because we think they could be improved in some way. Although some of them we are removing because we think they are bad. But we'll get into that.
Removed to make way for some new features. And again, no one's saying that they can't all be in the game, but this is just kind of for funsies.
Yes.
To make the decisions tough and to make our suggestions for new features all the more, I guess, impactful.
So the first one that we are removing, Justin, I think you and I are pretty unanimous in our agreement on this one. The entire Happy Home Academy house rating feng shui system, where you organize your furniture in your house different ways. You can review how other people are organizing their houses. That is right out the door. We are getting rid of that completely.
Yeah, I always had a problem with setting up my house the way I like it, and then getting a letter in the mail saying, "Oh, the way your house is set up just doesn't make sense and is gross," and you get an F or some sort of letter grade rating for it. I don't love the idea of having to put some piece of furniture in some part of the room. I like that being up to me where I want to lay everything out. And of course it is. There's no real penalty for going against the Happy Home Academy. But I'm not exactly sure because I never did it. But I think if you do, move everything around and get a high rating, you get some sort of reward from the game. And I don't know. I think that's kind of lame to have to like move things around a certain way to get that reward.
I don't know. I just never got that much interest out of having to like organize my house in a different way. Like I want to arrange it the way that I want to arrange it. It's my house. I don't want people judging how my house is laid out. And then like I don't know, they had, especially in New Leaf, they had that whole separate section where you can look at other people's houses and be like, oh, here's how all their stuff is laid out. And you look around and you're like, oh, okay, they've got this thing and they've got that thing. And it's like, okay, cool. It was just like a thing to do, but it never, to me, was like a hugely critical thing. It was never part of the core experience. Like, oh, I wonder what people's houses look like. Like, it just wasn't anything that really thrilled or excited me.
Yeah, no, I can agree. And also, if you had a set, right? Like, let's say you had the modern coffee table, and then you really liked it, and in order to get a high score from the Happy Home Academy, you would have to have like that entire modern set in your house, right? So the modern coffee table, the modern couch, the modern love seat, the modern chair, the modern TV stand. But what if like the modern couch was ugly, and like I lose points because I don't like that couch? I would put a different way there. I don't know. Yeah, it was just kind of a weird way to go about it.
Yeah. So Happy Home Academy officially disbanded.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the next one that we agreed on. That would be the art collecting in the game. Basically, how that works is you can buy different pieces of art, and you can either put them on your house or donate them to the museum. You have Red, the fox, who sells art. Some of the art might be fake, and you have to kind of, look at it to see if anything seems off so you don't buy a bum piece of art and get ripped off. I think a lot about that is kind of cool, but if, from this list, having to pick something that has to go, I would be all right if that was nixed from the game.
I begrudgingly agreed to this one because, again, like, of the features that were listed, it's probably the one that I would least hate to see go. Like, I do enjoy the art collecting. For me, I love populating the museum with a lot of different things and a lot of different, a lot of the different stuff that you find throughout the Animal Crossing world. Like, that's part of why I love the fishing, the bug catching, and the fossils. I always loved collecting those too and donating them to the museum and seeing everything build and grow. And art collecting was, that's definitely part of it. For me, I really enjoyed that, but I can certainly see the frustration of spending a lot of money and trying to find buying an art piece and it's potentially fake, or you have a particular piece of art that you want to buy and it's just not there, or a fake version of it is there and you have to wait till the next day to see if it comes through. That can get really annoying. So there are definitely limitations to the art collecting. It's not a feature that I hate per se. It could use a little bit of tweaking, so I kind of like closed my eyes and held my nose and signed off on that one and said, yeah, okay, the art collecting could probably go. I don't feel great about it.
All right. And then the last one that we agreed on removing, and the main reason of removing this one from the list is that we are going to try to list ways to improve it, with new features to be added to the game. But the multiplayer town visiting of, having to hop onto a train and then go to somebody else's town for like a little bit and just kind of run around and then go back to your own town. I feel like that could be improved upon in a bunch of different ways. It was almost kind of a chore to like link up and like get on the train, and I think you had to put in like a code, like a town code, if you wanted to travel there.
There were town codes, and especially with Nintendo back then, you had to have the friend codes set up. So you not only had to set up the friend codes first, then you had to set up the town codes, which was very clunky and annoying. And then again, like once you actually got to the towns and you could hang out with people, I mean, there wasn't really too much new or different that you could do there versus what you could do in your town. The best I could think of is if the different town has a different type of fruit tree, for instance. Like if your town grows only apples and their town grows cherries, then you can grab cherries from their town and bring them back to your town and plant them there. That's really it. Aside from that, like, yeah, the fishing is the same. The bug catching is the same. You can hang out with your friend and you can run around and goof around or whatever, but that's limited. Like, you can't do too much with them. And then probably most damning of all, for me at least, is some of your villagers. Like, once you establish that link between the two towns, some of your villagers can move to the new town. Like, I've lost some of my favorite villagers who were living in my town. Were like, oh, I'm moving to, your friend, such and such who came through the other day. Yeah, I'm moving to their town now. I'm really going to miss you. And I'm like, no, don't leave. Like, are you kidding me? Like,
it's almost a deterrent of going to visit, other friends' towns, because that can happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the multiplayer, it's a good idea in theory, but for what it is right now, it's too limited. It's not great. There are too many disadvantages versus advantages to implementing it. So, I'm with Justin here. I would say scrap the multiplayer.
All right, so those are the three we decided to remove. Of course, there were a couple that inspired some heated debates.
None more so than the clothes designing feature of the game. For me, clothes designing, if the new Animal Crossing game quietly got rid of clothes designing 100%, I don't even know if I'd notice. I honestly don't think I would notice. I cared so little and used the clothes designing so infrequently that I don't think it was even a blip on my radar. Like, I would go to the clothes shop and they'd be like, oh, here are the clothes that are available. And you can design your own clothes here. And I'd just walk right out the door. Nope, hard pass, don't care, not doing it. Don't care at all. Until Justin and I put this list together, as soon as he listed clothes designing, I was like, okay, well, that's my number one. And to my complete shock and surprise, that is not how Justin feels about the clothes designing one iota.
My Neanderthal of a co-host thinks that clothes designing is just a useless and stupid part of the game, and I just was shocked to even hear that. I mean, the amount of options you can do, the amount of different styles you can make. You're not only just making shirts, you're making hats, you're making umbrellas. There's new options now where you can do long sleeve, short sleeve, longer shirts at the bottom, and you could just create clothes that only you have, of anything you want. How many times have you walked into a store and there's 4 ugly shirts there, and you're like, well, I guess I'm just gonna wear the same shirt I've always been wearing. That's
all the time,
lame.
Literally
lame.
All the time.
Every day I play, I have a new wardrobe on because I treat Animal Crossing as very.
What? Every day?
Yes, every day.
Man, look, I went months wearing the same thing, literally day in and day out.
You're a pig.
I don't
tell you.
I don't care. I literally don't care what I'm wearing in the game. Like that to me just doesn't matter. Like if I
Animal
got
Crossing
bored,
does such a great job of living this world of like every day, every minute, every second of the day of the game that you're playing is the same as in real life. So you're doing real life days. So yeah, I change my clothes every day because it's a new day. You don't wear the same clothes 12 days in a row going to work, do you?
no, of course not. But that's real life. I've got things to do. I've got bugs to catch. I've got fishing to get to. I have a lot of different things that I have to get going, Justin, in my village. All right, I can't just whittle away the days and the hours just designing clothes. What even designs like could I put down? My creativity options are limited because my imagination is limited when it comes to designing clothes.
That sounds like a you problem.
It is a me problem, and I
Right.
don't. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I just don't care at all. Like I physically can't care about the clothes designing option. It's not within me. Like you can't change my mind about this because it's physically impossible. There's just no way I can agree that it is a good feature.
That
can't.
may be, but I would wager to guess you are in the vast minority of people who do not take, the clothes designing into action. And in fact, we can ask the listeners themselves. Send us an email, tweet at us, contact us. Are you a normal human being? Do you enjoy designing clothes? Or are you a Neanderthal gargoyle who never does the option at all?
I don't think, like, I'm trying to remember a time if I ever designed clothes once. Like, I think the only thing I ever designed was my town's flag. I think that's it. I didn't. Yeah, I honestly don't think I ever designed anything with the clothes thing. If they got rid of that entire feature tomorrow, I don't even know I would notice until they said, "Oh, we got rid of it," and I'd be like, "Oh, you did? Oh, how about that?" And then I would
say
go
you want
on.
a green shirt. You go in, open up a blank slate. You make your big crosshair as big as it can be. You put one giant big green splotch onto the design. Boom, green shirt, ready to go. Or, no, you can just go to the store and hope they have a green shirt. Not today. They just got some really disgusting pink and purple flowery shirts or, some stupid, like, superhero costume or something lame I would never wear.
Hey, firstly, there's nothing wrong with pink and purple flowery designs, okay? People wear those designs all the time, and they're perfectly happy. So don't judge what people are wearing.
All right. We clearly are not budging on this topic, but yeah, go ahead. Send us emails and tweets, and
send us emails. Let me know how wrong I am. I could take it.
One that I thought could go, but Chris was adamant about keeping, was traveling to the island.
Because the island it's fun. Like, you've got mini games there that you can do. You've got all sorts of exotic bugs and fish that you can collect. You've got the different fruits that you can shake from the trees. There's a lot of different things that you can find and see and do on the island. And you call me a Neanderthal. You, sir, judging the songs that Captain sings as he's sailing you to and from the island, they were so fun. They were delightful. Man, how dare you? How dare you call me a Neanderthal when you judge Captain's songs so harshly?
Yeah, they're fun the first couple times you hear them, and then they just become a pain in the butt. I wish that the transfer or the transportation to the island was a little easier. There was a lot of times where I thought about going to the island, and I was like, you know what? I just don't feel like going over there. Get on the boat, emptying out all my stuff, listening to the song, getting there, getting everything, getting back in the boat, picking up all my stuff again. Like, it was just a hassle to get over to the island. So if there was a way they could implement that to be a little bit easier, then I would totally be down for keeping it.
Okay, that I can agree with. I can agree that getting to and from the island, they can do a better job of streamlining and making easier, especially where you have to dump all your stuff in the chest and then you have to take it all out. Because then it was annoying if you came back from the island with your inventory all full. It would be like, oh, you have to donate everything or sell it, and then you have to go back to the chest and get everything out again because, again, your inventory was full, so you didn't have any room to bring anything on. So I agree. I agree on that point that making it easier to get to and from the island would be better. But come on. Come on. You get rid of the island. You get rid of Captain Songs. Like, come on. Don't do that. Don't be
You
that
can be
guy.
there. I don't want him to go. I just, there's an option to tell him to cram a starfish in every now and then. I think I'd be cool with it.
Oh, God. Whatever. All right. Fine. Be that old curmudgeon.
Yeah, so that's about it. We couldn't bring ourselves to bring out fishing, bug catching, the fossil finding.
No.
They seem like really staples of the game. The sending and receive mail is too fun to remove.
Justin and I were almost. Justin was about to remove the mail, but I brought up a story where when I was first starting New Leaf, I didn't even remember I had sent myself a letter. And I don't even remember when I received the letter, but I received it in such a time in the future that I forgot that I had even sent myself the letter. And I opened the letter up, and I'll never forget what the letter said. The letter said was, "Dear future me, don't forget, you are a mayor of animals. Filthy, filthy animals. Control them. Don't let them control you. Sincerely, past me." And I remember reading this letter and thinking, what the hell was I thinking? Like, this is the weirdest damn thing. Why would I send this to myself? Did I need a pick me up?
I would love if Isabel was cleaning her office and she found that letter.
Yeah, she's like, "Mayor, what is this?" You're like, "Oh, nothing."
You think I'm a filthy animal?
You think we're all filthy animals? And I turn and all the animals are behind me. I'm like,
holding pitchforks.
Oh, crap. What a scandal. But yeah, what are they going to do? Vote me out of office? There are no elections in Animal Crossing. This is a dictatorship, motherfuckers.
Animals can't vote.
I just passed a law as mayor of this town. Animals can't vote.
You suck.
Yeah, there's nothing you can do about it.
Okay,
so yeah, we're not getting rid of the mail. But Justin, we've gotten rid of a few features here. We have gotten rid of the Happy Home Academy. We've gotten rid of the art collecting, and we've gotten rid of the town visiting multiplayer aspects. What features are we replacing those with?
Yeah, so I think we should start with ideas on improving the multiplayer. We kind of led to it earlier. I love that the game does have multiplayer. I think this is a game that should have multiplayer, especially with how many Animal Crossing fans there are. And the town visiting, it wasn't bad, but it was sometimes like a little bit of a chore to even get over there. And then once you're there, as Chris was saying, outside of picking some foreign fruit, what are you really doing over there? So I think it would be really great. One of the things I loved the most about the original Animal Crossing for GameCube is that, there was one main town, and every save file was a different house for a different, player to live in that town. So if there was some way that, there were servers available for towns, and let's say I got the game first, and I made Justinville, and I made the server, and then Chris, you got the game, and you had the option to either start your own town or join my server and live in Justinville. And that way, if we were both playing at the same time, we would we would both be playing at the same time in the same world. Like, you see me moving around. Like, the camera on my screen is following me, obviously, and the camera on you is following you. But, we could still work together or do stuff together, and just, physically play the game on our own, but together. And we can have other players join our town and live there if they decide to. And, maybe at some point have like 4 or 6 players all running around in Justinville playing at the same time. I think that would be a lot of fun.
I agree with that completely. I think that would be a ton of fun. It would be a great callback to the original Animal Crossing, where, again, you could have the different homes for the different players in one specific town. And it would also be a really smart upgrade because in the original game, only one person could play on the save file at a time. So they could only experience the town one at a time. But if you had different people from different servers playing at the same time, you could run around, you could do all sorts of different things. I'd definitely hope if they did do something like that, they had a system where the experience was the same for each individual player. For example, you know how each day you have the one random rock that you hit with your shovel and it spits out money bags. Each player gets the chance to hit that rock and get money from it for themselves. So that way, the first player who's in the town doesn't find the rock. The first player who decides to play for that day doesn't find the rock, get all the money, and then they ruin it for everyone else the rest of it, because then no one else can hit that rock. Mm-hmm. So once per day, each player gets a chance to hit the rock and get the money. They just have the same experience that anyone else has. It's just that it's all shared on the same server.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun. The players could each, and I mean, for each player, the camera follows them around. So even if you're running around at the same time as someone else, you can run off and do your own thing. You don't necessarily have to stick with somebody and do what they're doing. You can still go off on your own. It's just at the same time as someone else. Mm-hmm. I think that would be a lot of fun. I really don't see any downsides to that.
Yeah, I would like there to be some sort of interactive events for more than one person to play together. Like, let's say, for example, there's a really large tree that I want to chop down and clear up some space, but one player can't do it alone, right? So maybe I have to play with somebody else. Like, you and I have to both chop down the tree together to bring it down. Like, it's something that requires more manpower than just one. Maybe there's like in-game trading we can do, like, giving each other money or items just directly right there while we're playing together. Just other sorts of interactivity for us to do while we're playing in the map together. I think would be a really cool addition.
Yeah, I think so too. I think that would be a lot of fun.
All right. So how about you? Anything else you want to add to multiplayer or maybe a new feature?
I don't necessarily know if I would change too much about the multiplayer. Again, there is the whole aspect of, like, you have a limited amount of, like, the fruits that you can buy from, that you can find in different towns in the multiplayer as currently constructed. You can go to a different town, find like a different type of fruit, like a pear tree or whatever, and bring it back here. A good workaround for something like that is, say, if they had, they have the store, maybe they started like a grocery store or something, and each day they offer, mostly they offer the same type of fruit that is found on the trees, but let's say, especially during the winter months, those trees don't grow as much, or you shake all the fruit trees down and you want to buy more fruit, then you can buy them there, or you can buy new fruit that happens to be available there. Like, if, say, there's 2 bins and it's oranges and pears, and your village mostly grows apples, then you have the option to grab those fruits and plant them and then the next day you go in and it's oranges and cherries. Well, you already got the oranges, but now you can get the cherries. So that would be, I feel like, a good workaround to, with the current multiplayer, you can find the new fruit trees to populate your town, but you'd lose that in the multiplayer that we're talking about if they were to implement that.
Right.
So, yeah, so I feel like that would be a good workaround. Plus, it adds a new shop to, to that little row of shops that you have there, and it gives you something else to kind of see and do.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and sort of piggybacking off of that a little bit, I was kind of toying with the notion of more options to do with land. Like maybe you can buy an acre or something next to your house, and once you do that, new options are unlocked, like maybe planting some different plants and trees and vegetables and stuff. I know I'm sort of turning this into a Harvest Moon game, but I think it would be pretty cool to have like a garden maybe next to your house, another revenue income that needs to be like watered every day, right? So it would give players more of an initiative to actually hop on for at least 10 minutes every day to water their plants. Like maybe let's say, you don't play for a couple of days, your plants are dead. Like, you weren't watering them.
Right.
I know now, like, there's not really a penalty, which is good because, no one wants to play every day forever, but there's not really penalties to not playing, like, except for, like, the bugs running around at your houses or whatever. But, yeah, if there was just some more avenues to make money outside of the fishing and the bug catching and, like, the fossil selling, maybe doing jobs for people is a little bit more than just kind of fetch quests or delivering like packages, like some other stuff you could do, like,
or you open up your own general store, and a lot of the stuff that you find throughout your day, that becomes the stuff that you sell each day in the store.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
Yeah, so there you go.
Yeah, it's just I love the idea of stores. I like the last one had like the shoe store with Kix the skunk and like there's a hat store and stuff too. I would love more of that kind of stuff. Again, like I remember traveling to the towns are always like a pain. So maybe if you had the ability to kind of put them directly in your town, like how the coffee shop is once you unlock that, I think that would be pretty cool. And just kind of make things a little bit easier to get to.
Yeah, I can agree with that. It's funny you mentioned turning the game more into like a Harvest Moon. That kind of is similar to my next idea with the game, is kind of like revamping the relationships, not even necessarily that you have with the animals, but that the animals have with each other.
Are you talking about controversial man-animal marriages?
I am not, but I am talking...
Yeah, who would want that? That's ridiculous.
So, no, the relationships I'm talking about are the relationships mostly between the animals. Like, you aren't going to be the one having the relationships with the animals, okay? That's a spit in the eye of God, Justin.
Of course.
No, you are going to be the facilitator of the relationships. And I'm not even talking about strictly romantic relationships. I'm also talking about just like relationships in general. Like in the current games, especially in New Leaf, like you can see the animals, like they'll walk up to each other and they'll talk or whatever, and you can listen in on their conversations. And they're just like, oh, yeah, how about this weather? Blah, 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 blah. It's like, hey, have you ever noticed that, trees are green? What's up with that? And it's always, like, really inane and stupid. But what if, like, the animals, like, could actually form friendships and bonds with each other? Like, for several days in a row, you see two animals always, like, talking to each other. They're hanging out, or they're, like, fishing together or something. And then, like, one day you see them, like, yelling at each other, like they're arguing over something. And then you have to, like, ask them, like, hey, what happened? And they were like, oh, like such and such, like I thought he was my friend, but he did this, and blah blah blah, and you have to kind of like sort out the issue between them and repair that friendship a little bit. So
I'm all for that. I think that's great.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't necessarily like you could, I guess, facilitate. You could have romantic relationships between the animals. Like if they decided, oh, they fell in love with one another, you could kind of play Cupid a little bit and kind of like nudge that along. I don't know what the end game would be there if, say, those animals ever decided to get married and move into the same house. Would that maybe free up? Because then one animal moves into the other's house, and then that frees up a space for a new animal to move in. Maybe that could be how they work that out. Or, I mean, this wouldn't be great if you liked the animals. If they decided, oh, we're going to start a new life somewhere else. Thanks for, helping us out. Like, we appreciate that. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I'd have to, I would hate to see some animals go. I mean, some animals I'd love to see go. But, I don't know. I feel like just kind of overhauling that relationship system between the animals, giving it a little bit more heft to it. I feel like that would give you, the player, something else that you could do.
I think that's a great idea. I love an interaction with your townsfolk, but yeah, I feel like it kind of grows stale a little quick. Which, is tough because there are so many different villagers you could have, and like writing dialogue for all of them or whatever is probably tough. I know a lot of them is just like certain personalities that are kind of randomized towards the different, villagers. But yeah, to give them a little bit more identity and maybe increase like their AI a bit, I think is a great idea. And to just have more interactions with them. Let's see. The next thing I was thinking of, I think all of the Animal Crossings, like your town size, right? I think it's all pretty much been kind of the same. I know it's portrayed differently, like in the original, it's like screen by screen. On Wild World, it was like that rolling log effect. But they've all been around the same size, and I think it would be awesome if your town could grow and like get more space. So that includes more room for more villagers to move in, more shops, more fishing holes that could come up, or more areas for bugs, and just make the map a lot bigger for you to explore. And coupled with that, I think the game could benefit from a faster system to move around, right? So initially I was thinking like a car, right? You can buy a car and hop in and drive around. But then I was like, it doesn't really make a lot of sense. There's no roads. Like, it sounds like kind of a big deal to like hop in a car to move like 2 screens over. So then I thought, what about a bike? Like, if you could buy a bicycle, right, and roll it through town, you get to places a little bit faster. You can customize it. I mean, you wouldn't because you hate it, obviously. But you could, get different colors. You could maybe put different cool designs on it, different kinds of bikes. Maybe a flag on the back of it. You can put a different cool design on the back of the flag. And just like a faster way to get around and get to different people, especially when you're like delivering stuff for like any kind of fetch quest or anything. And have some fun with it. Maybe in the wintertime, like the bike doesn't work, right? So you have to get skis, and you're just on skis, going through the town and getting around that way.
That could be fun.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that would be a cool, new, fun, easy little feature to add to the game. To give it some individuality and spice it up a little bit.
About like roller skates.
Roller skates.
What if you find like roller skates at like Kix's shop? You can pick those up from there. Yeah,
and I was thinking that these things would cost a lot, right? So you can't just get them in the beginning of the game. You have to save up some money and eventually unlock them.
Yeah, you can't just throw in roller skates right away, because then how can you appreciate skating around all over the place if you didn't have to walk everywhere?
Yeah, so maybe they're expensive, or maybe they don't show up until after a year of playing or something like that. I think that'd be pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm. Getting back to the whole system where you expand the town and you grow the town's area. imagine if like you were growing the town's area and then you started encroaching on another town, like a neighboring town, and then like you had to go to war with that town. So you had to kind of bring in like the trebuchets and like different siege weapons, and you had to like it would be a great way to kind of thin out your animals a little bit so that more animals could move in. It would make it really dramatic too, because if we implemented the relationship thing that I had said, like you imagine two friends, like they were friends for forever, and then one of them dies in the war. Like imagine how much more impactful that would be, Justin, if they died in the Great War to expand the town.
I suppose I could add some new elements to the game.
Yeah, see? So you agree. It's a great idea.
I thought about also like a battle system almost a la Rune Factory of like crawling through dungeons and maybe mining and getting to the far levels. But then again, like I'm just kind of turning this game into like a Harvest Moon, so
right.
Try to think outside of that.
Yeah, and obviously I am joking. We don't need any wars or bloodshed in Animal Crossing.
It would be weird to walk around with a sword
with that constantly happy face, the blank eyes like staring off to the side, and you're just like swinging your sword, blood flying everywhere.
Stab Tom Nook in the jugular.
You have to pay for his funeral costs, and like it's like extremely exorbitant, so you have to take out a loan with the Tom Nook estate. Animal Crossing, Animal Crossing, Happy Tree Friends, rated M for mature.
Yeah, I mean it could definitely happen.
I don't think it's going to happen.
All right, I think that's it for me. Do you have any other ideas that you want to talk about?
Not in particular. I feel like the ideas that the non-jokey ideas that we came up with were pretty solid. I feel like they would do a lot to really enliven the experience a little bit, really keep it fresh, keep it new. And even if they didn't get rid of the items that we had talked about getting rid of earlier, if they just added on top of that, I feel like it would still be a solid experience, and it would be something that everybody could really enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. I think that there is a lot of new features they could add to this game. And what we thought up of was just the tip of the iceberg, so of course everybody listening, I'm sure you've got some ideas, something that we didn't say. Maybe you disagree with some of the stuff that we said. Maybe you want to agree with us and tell us how great we are. Reach out.
We always appreciate those emails.
Yeah. Hit us up on Twitter at PAR_podcast, or you can email us PARpodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. So, yeah, definitely check us out. Let us know what your thoughts are. And don't forget also to rate and review us on iTunes and or Google Play or wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, Chris, what is your percentage chance that Animal Crossing does come out in 2019?
That comes out in 2019?
Yeah.
I would give it an 85% chance.
Wow.
Because I'm pretty sure they've been working on it for a while. I think they want to surprise everyone with having it come out in 2019. But if it ultimately did come out in 2020, I would not be too terribly shocked. I'm pretty sure it would come out this year, but I'm just, I'm not 100% certain on that. I don't want to commit to that. How about you?
So normally I'm very skeptical with Nintendo, especially when it comes to E3. But looking at what they have announced for 2019 right now, a lot of it takes place in this upcoming summer. You got Mario Maker 2 coming out at the end of June. You got Fire Emblem in July. And that tail end of the year, there's really nothing concrete in terms of release dates. We have Animal Crossing 2019, Luigi's Mansion 3 2019. Metroid Prime 4 was 2019, but that's definitely not going to happen.
That is not happening for at least a couple of years.
Yeah. So they need something big for that holiday season, and I think Animal Crossing would be the perfect fit for that. So I'm going to go with 75% chance.
Okay. All right.
But,
I think that's more than fair.
Nintendo often does not think about things the way I do, so we'll wait and see. E3, especially for Nintendo, I've learned to not get my hopes up. I've been burned many, many, many times. Everyone listening out there, take it from us. Keep your expectations low. You want to be surprised over disappointed, right? So just try to keep your expectations low and just be open to what's about to be shown to you. And that's not just for Nintendo, but for everybody who's got a press conference at E3. And, when Sony does their own thing, the Days of Play, once that gets announced. And, just enjoy it. Yep. Our next episode will be in 2 weeks, of course, and it will be right before E3 begins. And we'll have a lot to talk about then. And then, of course, we'll have our huge E3 wrap-up episode. So, there's a lot of good stuff coming your way.
Yes, we are, as always, very excited about E3. Let's see what they have to show off this year. I can't wait.
All right. What do you say we wrap this one up?
I have no problems with that. Yeah, let's wrap it up and throw it off a cliff.
That's all for this week. Remember, Press A repeatedly posts new episodes Tuesdays on iTunes, Google Play, Podbean, YouTube, and Spotify. If you like what you hear, please take a moment to rate and review the show, or tell your friends about us. It helps other people find the podcast and will really help us grow. And thank you to all who have rated, reviewed, and subscribed so far. We love you.
You can follow us on our Facebook page or on Twitter and Instagram. We are at PAR_podcast. I'm at CGold113, and Justin is at Oath7724. You can email us any questions or comments at parpodcast@gmail.com. That's parpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to check us out on our website on pressarepeatedly.com, where this week I have a review of Detective Pikachu up for you all to read and enjoy, so please read it and please enjoy it. And that's all for this week. Chris and Justin signing off. And remember, to thrash your way through windows, walls, and people in a manic rage, press A repeatedly.